presentation for the Princess Bride game. I'm going to start just by kind of going through the game, showing how it runs, and then we'll go through some of the requirements for the presentation, kind of how we made it work. So we'll stop this and we'll enter the player's name, and then we'll start a new game. We'll just test out the help menu and see if that works. And if that was too fast, sorry, here's the goal. And there's the inventory items. We'll view the map and see. We don't really know much about the locations yet, but we know how to get there, so we'll explore. And with each of these scenarios, we'll answer the challenges of the people there, and we'll get items added to our inventory. Like right here, we have a goblet of water added to our inventory. So we'll keep just playing there. And so we got a rope added to our inventory there. And here we're going to play rock, paper, scissors. Fezzik. We lost, so we'll play again. And let's see. And I like to just keep doing rock to make it faster. So we won, but he cheated, so we have to win again. Let's see. Oh, we lost. All right, so we won. Wonderful. Now it'll ask us here just another question. So we'll play a little game, and then we'll get the final item, our bag of rocks. We can see the inventory items. If we go here and do view inventory, you can see them right there. As you can see, we have our actual amount matches all the required amounts. So that's wonderful. If we'd like to, we could also print the list of items. So we can do that by saying print list is our file path.txt. And then we're going to go over here and find that. And I think I did invalid. I did TT instead of TXT. So we'll do print list.txt. We'll find that over here. That works. And so here we can see our actual amount, which matches our required amount, which is great. So now, we're going to save the game, actually. We're going to save it under presentation. And then we're going to quit, so we can just test that. This is using a byte stream that we're doing this. We used a character stream to print that we just saw, and this is a byte stream. So we're going to start a new runtime. And then we're going to open up a new game. We're going to call it, or we're going to open up a saved game. Sorry, excuse me. Presentation. And as you can see, if we look at the items, it's got all the items that we acquired before. So, we know it's the same game, and it's great. We're going to view the map. We're going to go to the last place. This is in the fire swamp, and here we'll have a few scenarios, and it'll ask us which item to pick to have each scenario. Luckily, we have all of the items required, so we'll be able to make it through alive. And because we picked all the right ones, we got through the game and saved Princess Buttercup. So it's a fun game. Some of the ways that we did this, we used some repetition statements, such as a for loop. And we'll look at that right here in the game menu view. One for loop, we saw it when we were looking at the inventory list right here. Where was that? Here. And you see how this has a bunch of repeated statements. And so instead of typing each one over and over again, a for loop is great because you can actually we're going to look at this one. Where was the one I wanted to look at? That's just pretty simple for an example. This one right here. So this is a basic for loop. And so we initialize a variable, and then as long as that variable is less than the length of the list that we're looking at an array called print list. It'll go through this loop over and over again. And then this, every time it goes through the loop, it'll add an integer to that variable. And this is everything it'll do. And so that can be really useful when you have repeated statements or computations to do. A while loop, like we use over here in Indigo Control, if I can find it, is nice, kind of for similar reasons. But a while loop you kind of use more when you don't really know how many times you'll need to go through the loop. So it has here's the condition, and it'll just keep going through the loop until that condition is met. And so, yeah, that's nice when you don't really know which, like in this case, it's number is an input from the user, so you don't really know how many times you're going to have to go through the loop. So while is a good choice for this here. And a do while loop, like we used here, is the third repetition statement we're going to talk about. And that's when you want to go through something at least once. You want to go through a repetition at least once. So here, we know we want to do this, and then the condition in this type of repetition is at the very end. So that means we'll go through it once, and then we'll check the condition, and we'll go through it again, and it'll check the condition. And in this case, as long as value does not equal e, it'll just keep going and going and going. And so there are 3 repetition statements. Things we also used were lists, like arrays. Arrays are really great because you can store a lot of information in them that can be retrieved later in the program. Here's an array called location, and here we are setting it up. In each slot in the array, we're setting each slot is type location, as you can see here, and we're assigning scenes to each of the locations in each of the slots. And so that'll be nice in this array because later we'll want to print those scenes in each location, as we used right here. Let's see. We used that right here to print, to know which letter, or if we had to do a question mark. Here we got this, here we have the array, and so these variables right here that change with each iteration through the for loop allow us to get to access these location objects stored here and get the scene type, or the scene objects, and that way access the map symbol so that we could print those right here. So that's how arrays can be very, very useful. Array lists are also extremely useful, especially in this case for things like an inventory, because with an array list, it's like an array, but it's more dynamic, meaning you can add and remove objects from an array list during runtime. So that's something that's pretty unique. And something else one more type of list that I'd like to go over are enums. And enums, one type of enums we can look at in our map control. These are enums, and we can see there's scene types. So we kind of declare them as scene objects, which we later access down over here, like we were looking at earlier. And when we were assigning these scenes to the location objects, and they're very useful. and they're very useful. And as you can see, they have kind of their own functions. They have and attributes like ordinal, and they're kind of their own functions and attributes, as you can see right here. So those are really useful. And I'd like to go over IO streams. Let's see. I'm gonna stop the broadcast.